Did I have that name right, maybe? Did I have that name right?
What?
The lifting buddy?
Lifting buddy, yes.
Lifting buddy. Oh.
Lifting buddy. Okay, so I don't think you recorded the last time I presented because it was just me and you.
Right.
Right, so for all of you, this is new. I basically shaped up what the other one was. It's loading, I'm sorry, I didn't scroll down. But basically it's the same thing that I was talking about before. Oh, I forgot to put my source in. And it's like an app for connecting people for working out, but it's primarily a messaging app. I took out a couple of the functions that were a little over the top, and it's basically just like WhatsApp or Kik if you use either one of those, but with a matching system, kind of like a dating app where you fill out a user profile and they match you with people. So these are the other ones that I looked up. There were a couple of cool ones, like this one. This is Well Squad, and it's pretty much exactly what I'm going after, except for it's a website only and it has not a lot of people using it because you have to pay for it. So with those two exceptions, it's pretty great. Gym Comrade is another one. It has a really suboptimal UI, like it really is not all that functional. No matching system, you just kind of like get assigned based on this. Like, I'm a dude and I want people, the end. Like, it's not super great. And yeah, it shows you local gyms, which is good, but like, for my purposes, I don't really want to limit myself to just the local area, so that's not gonna work. Workout buddies here. I think it's kind of cute. I like the color scheme that they got going on, the little pictographs. I think it's cute. And you have the ability to choose a trainer. You can choose the gender, goals, and body type of your partners. But it is sponsored by a company, which puts me off immediately because that's like they're pushing their products on you during the app, which I don't much care for. The last update was January, and there's only 5 reviews, so not a lot of people use it, and it's glitchy. So I don't like that. So basically, yeah, my justification is there's seems to be a hole here that my supposed app could probably fill pretty well because all of them seem to be lacking in one area or another. So I picked out a color scheme here because I did some research or whatever that a good color that is, because I'm targeting ladies primarily, so a good color for ladies that doesn't alienate men is the blue and the pastel kind of colors. So I went with this kind of color scheme. And this is WhatsApp, which I took a lot of inspiration for when designing it because I think it's really intuitive and I think it works well, and I think this is the kind of thing that I'm after for a messaging app. This is my flow chart. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on. You have your setting, which is a primary thing, because that's where you go through your filters and your criteria of the people that you're looking for, and your own account and how it shows up. The messages, which are pretty important, and then just individual messages. There's not a lot to them, but they're an important part. Your stats. So if any of you have, I know it works on iPhone, I don't know about Android. If you have an iPhone, you have the iHealth app, which comes with the phone, so you have to. It keeps track of like step countings and your pulse if you have an iWatch and all sorts of stuff that just gets put together in the health app. So it can link to those stats internally because apps can communicate like that. So it shows your stats, so it's made through the other app. Your log info, so like if you want to log in something that you did that it's not picking up, I don't know. I don't take my phone or my iPod or whatever when I go running, so I can just log that in manually. And then you can check in, just like, hey, I'm at this place now, yay, for me. And you basically have the same thing with your friends. So like you can see what your friends do, you can compare, which is literally like you just click their run stats and your run stats and see what they look like just to compare them for funsies. Leave kudos, which again, like I said the first time, I thrive on external validation. So if people are gonna leave me kudos on my awesome time, that's awesome for me. And then you can see where they benefit that you were cool. So your scenario 1 is just like this person and her friend are close, but they moved away, and so they want to give them kudos for doing a good mile. Yay! This is what it would look like. Here's your home screen. You go down to friend stats. You select the friend that it's talking about. You click their entry for their run time, and then you just select kudos. Pretty simple. Not a whole lot going on. The scenario 2 is you're signing up for the app for the first time, and you want to kind of change your settings because you didn't know what you wanted to put the first time. So you had to go change your settings. So you click the little hamburger menu. You go all the way down to settings. This is a collapsed version of this for the most part. It has a couple more options like check-in, add partner, and settings, but it's just collapsed without the giant pictures. You click your criteria, and then you can just edit your various different options that you have set. Scenario 3 is you want to have another buddy. Yay for buddies! So you want to add one, and Yeah, so you go to messages, and from there you can go to new add partners, search, and then you can do your different filters and criteria and check all that, and make sure that's what you want. And then you get the profile of the person that it's matched you with, so their name, age, location, a bio that they have for themselves, a photo, and then you can just straight up message them. So these are my final renderings. So yeah, this would be the home screen. This is taking you through just a simple, like you just want to message one of your friends. That's it. That's all you want to do. So you go messages, click the message, view the message. And look at this, it's so cool. We can do it ourselves. Yay! Yay! Hey, Christina, what's up? Yeah.
Good, that's perfect for the click-through. I think that's fine, it's easy. So how did you do it in PowerPoint? Can you make an invisible button in PowerPoint that takes you to another slide? Or is it just like you click anywhere on the slide and it'll just take you to?
No, I have it on a bounding box just here for this thing.
Okay.
It took a couple doings, and I think there's a couple different ways you can do it, but what I did is I went into the original thing and I just cut out this part of the image and made it a separate button. So you can just
So it's the same, it's covering the same thing.
Yeah, I cut it out of the final thing, and then they're two separate pieces.
Right.
Yeah, and I pasted it in place, so that's where it is.
That's smart.
That's smart.
You can't click anywhere else, but if you click the part, it takes you to the next one. Except this one, since it's on the screen, you can click anywhere.
Get it, girl.
Ta-da.
Gosh, what do you guys think?
I love it.
Can you give her?
I love how you're incorporating multiple elements from different apps that specialize. Like you're kind of specialized, but you're also taking elements from other apps, and that makes it even bigger.
Did I change the logo since last time I showed you, Julia?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't think it was this. It's a cute little barbell with a heart on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just that's the screen or it's very difficult to see.
Okay, yeah, it might just be this. I don't know. It reads way clearer on my laptop, so maybe there's something wrong with the way I scaled it or something. But
The only other, on your final set of screens, it would be nice to see like what that, like the icon, like just the iPhone screen with your other apps, and then what your little icon is that look like.
beginning screen? Okay.
Yes, your beginning screen.
Gotcha.
But otherwise, and do you think it's problematic that like your branding disappears in your messaging area?
No, everything that I've looked at, every
It does
messaging
that?
thing, yeah, like WhatsApp, Kik, every messaging system that I have, yeah, that goes away when you're in the actual messaging app.
Okay.
It's here every other place, and yeah, so I don't think that's an issue.
Okay. I think your color scheme is really good. It's not too gender specific. When you were talking about pastels, I was like, ugh, I don't know. But I think it's kind of a quirky color scheme, and I like it. If you go back up there, that whole blurriness in the background to kind of indicate what sort of, I sort of like it. I feel like it's trying to tell you kind of what's behind the curtain, you know? And I think it totally works. I think the logo is very difficult to see, but I trust that it's better on a regular screen.
On an app projector.
If you want to just go back and scroll through them, I wouldn't worry about integrating the. I mean, your storyboards. I mean, your scenarios don't have that first screen of clicking on but whatever. We can assume that's implied. But I would like to see that design of how you're going to deploy the logo in that scale. I think this is exactly what you needed to do.
Cool. Yay.
Did you feel like your flowchart changed after you got a little bit further with it?
Yeah, I mean, I had an idea for what I wanted to do. Remember how I presented it, and there was a lot of different stuff going on. And yeah, after specifically looking through the other apps that I was looking through, and I was just like, wait, this function is kind of dumb, and this doesn't work in practice, and this would be kind of cool. So like, I changed some stuff out a little bit. But yeah, I worked through with like mentally a bunch of different stuff that you could do to make sure the flowchart was perfect before I started in on the wireframes. So yeah, I say the other apps the flowchart
more than actually doing the user scenarios. Were you happy that when you started to do the user scenarios, you felt like, oh, well, that would just go through that same screen, you know? it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
proves
it's-
that your screens work.
Yeah, I guess I was lying a little bit. I did have like one extra little category. I'm like, oh wait, you can just condense it this way or whatever when I was doing these scenarios.
Uh-huh.
There's like one time, but
Uh-huh.
but yeah. Other than that, it seemed pretty like, oh, that would just be this and done.
I think you did a good job. I don't really have that much to say. I think it looks really good.
It does.
It's funny, like it's funny to me in practice, like when I'm working on real projects and I put stuff together kind of like this, people are like, oh, like they have no idea how to go about like thinking through something like this. You know, like we just take it for granted because it's what we do all the time. Yeah, but good job, Mindy. I think you did a great job. Oh, hey, there's Jenna and Laura. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Brittany, are you in a hurry today?
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Brittany present next. Or do you have stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. We're cutting you out, Zach.
I see that.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay, I won't go through all of this again, but I just wanted to, you said something about adding statistics about food waste.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out that 25 to 40% food grown in the U.S. Processed and transported is never consumed. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I knew there was a lot of food waste, but
That's pretty compelling.
yeah. And then I added some screenshots of the apps that I showed last time, we talked about last time. So this was the dinner spinner. In the dinner spinner, I found out that like what you do is you can shake your phone and then it like kind of just picks like random things. So like it'll pick a dish type, an ingredient, and then ready in 20 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. But the problem was that like I tried to shake it on my phone and it took like 5 times for it to actually do it. And then you can also just click that bot, like the word says view 701 matches. Before it gets to that, it says you can press the button and then it does it for you. So you can do it manually or you can shake your phone. But the shaking of phone is
Can you make your that screen a little bit bigger, the Word document screen? Just to extend it a little bit. Oh, no. I mean, just make the window larger.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, and then this is Yummy, which I talked about last time. Yeah, you can just search whatever you want to search. You can do ingredients, the dish, it doesn't matter. And right here is the filters. That's filter screen. So the filters, like you can say you don't want anything with mayonnaise or meat or whatever, and there's dietary preferences as well. So right here, yeah. The filters, dietary preference, prep time, blah, blah, blah. Description of look and feel. I kind of just went with like this color because I looked at like the other 2 apps that I just showed, and then also like the New York Times cooking app. I all noticed that they all use orange, which I thought was interesting. So I kind of just stuck with that. And then I changed my flow chart. So this is the home page, and then you ask if they have an account. They don't. You can create an account. This is just personal information, their dietary preference, and if they have any allergies. And then if they do have an account, they can log in, search their ingredients. Recipes will pop up, and then they can save their recipes. And then this is my first wireframe. So this is for searching for recipes. So this is the home screen. And then they can click on the search button, enter their ingredients, and then recipes will show up. And this would be like just random recipes that they can click on if they're interested. And then if they're just browsing. But if not, they can just enter their ingredients and then recipes. And then the second one is to keep the screen open on their phone so that when they do click on a recipe and they're viewing the directions, they can keep their phone on without it, locking up or whatever. So they can click settings, which will be down here, go to my account, and then auto lock the screen and turn it on. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any comments?
Yeah, I got some questions. Can you go to your wireframes again, please?
Yes.
So you had your settings thing in the footer. What is it that's going to be hanging out in the footer? Because it looks like it's locked there and like it's going to be there on every screen.
Yeah, I was gonna have like a little search icon, and then like they can click on something where their saved recipes are at, and then the settings is what I was gonna have.
So why isn't it in a hamburger menu that you can like collapse and?
I was just looking at the other apps, like the other cooking apps, and they didn't have it like that. So I was just kind of following their way. I mean, I guess I could do a hamburger menu, but
Okay.
and also I was gonna do the like the filter up there too. Like I didn't want, so like that's why I put it in the footer, because I was gonna have like the filter be on the top corner, top left corner, but I haven't gotten it yet.
Can you go to your flowchart?
Mm.
So, you're not gonna let anybody just jump on and start looking for recipes. It looks like you have to go through the process of creating an account
Yeah,
before you can even look for a recipe.
yeah,
Is that true? Okay.
yeah.
So what if I have an account and I don't want to look, I just want to get back to something that I've saved.
If you don't have an account?
No, I do have an account. Okay, so let's say, okay, I have an account, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to enter ingredients. I want to find that recipe. You know what I mean? I want to get to that recipe that
Yeah.
I saved from
Well,
last
I guess
week.
it would just take you to the homepage, and then you can click on, like in the footer, it would have like an icon where your saved recipes are, and you can click that.
Right, but see, my point is that's part of the functionality. So I think it should be in your, I think it needs to be in your flowchart.
So
Okay, I see.
would you have a box around the vicinity of, say, recipes with an arrow into it?
Well, I don't know. I just think that, okay, so let's say we get on. What are the things that we would want to do? We want to find a recipe,
Mm-hmm.
or I would want to update my settings, or I would want to go to a saved recipe.
Mm-hmm. I see.
I don't think that there would be really, there's nothing else you might do. But I think you need to outline all of the functionality here.
Okay.
I don't care where you put it in the interface. That's a different question. But this is diagramming all of the things that you could be doing.
Okay. Yeah.
So putting into save recipes, maybe after you save something, then you can go view everything you've saved. Or you could go back and search for more recipes.
Okay.
Right, because this flow goes one way. And what I thought about in my flows was, okay, these are apps, so people have an inclination to either swipe or hit the back button.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the flow this way, the flow is actually
Yeah.
how the person can, just like you said, all the stuff they can do.
Yes.
So I found it, I've ended up making a little more complex flow chart than I've ever made, because I had to visually describe the arrows going back.
Right. Yeah, because there's a lot of ways that you can, once you create your account and you make those settings, then you might want to go back and search for ingredients, or you might want to, if you're creating the account, you're not going to have anything saved, so there's no reason to take you to your saved recipes because you're just
Right.
establishing the account. But I can imagine kind of like a saved area, like folders, sort of like folders where you can organize.
Like archive.
Yeah, all your different recipes. Okay, so can you go back to your, or when you pull up a recipe, like go back, sorry, to your flowchart one more time. So once you search, it's going to give you some results. This is going to be like in list form, probably like, oh, here's some options.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to click on one. So it would take you into a recipe detail.
Right.
So it feels like here's your recipe. It's sort of like when you're on an e-commerce site and you're like, I'm looking for a red swimming suit. Here are your options. Then I click on one of the options and I see the detail. So here's your list of items. Then you're gonna have a recipe detail.
Right.
So I would call it view recipe. So you're looking at a specific recipe. You can either save it or you can go back and do some more searching. Or go back to your results.
Yeah.
You know, so think about, I think this needs a little bit more, and then, or maybe you want to be able to save it, email it to somebody. What else might you want to do with it?
I mean, so going back, like, do I just put an arrow back? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
confused.
Sure. I actually, you know what might help is, how can we edit? I wish I could just draw on, here, let me see for a second. So I would call this, so everybody can see it. I would call this
Plus I have an ingredient this week.
you enter what you have.
You enter what you have?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just asked Minia, if there was a way for me to search a recipe based on an ingredient I know.
I mean,
Like, or like, okay, I'm thinking sweet potato. So I don't have the sweet potato, but I want to look at all the recipes for the sweet potato. So could I key in that under ingredients too? I mean, like, is there a way to archive, like, will search ingredients allow me to look in the archives of recipes about the ingredients?
I would go to Chef Dion one, two.
Because I would dig that.
Like, if there's a staple ingredient,
I'd be all
get me
over that.
recipes about this.
I mean, yeah, you could, because like, I don't want it to be like completely limited to just what you have. I mean, some people might just go on there and search something. But I don't know, like the whole point of the app is just what's in your kitchen. It's not what you want to.
That's
like,
true,
prepare
that's
for,
true,
you
that's
know,
true,
it's
you're right
not
about
what
that.
You want to go shopping and get something for.
You're right about that, I forgot about your objective.
But you should be able to, in the searching area, you should be able to say, I want to search for.
Yeah.
I like what Brian's thinking though, like in the future, that's totally the way the app could incorporate other options for sure, for sure. It's fun, it's even fun to like think about stuff like that in the designing process, like, because it just influences your work even further, I feel, it doesn't really hold you back.
I try to visually describe all the moves the user can make backwards.
Yes.
So it's pretty flowy.
So what I would do, what I would suggest here is, this is actually, you're going to be searching. And in the search, I would say, make some notes here, like, this is like, oh, that was just ridiculous. So, and then, maybe we should just print it here. And, oh, here we go. That wouldn't take up too much time, but so you should be able to specify in your search if you are looking, like by default, I think that it should, if you're looking for a recipe with specific ingredients or with this title. So what kind of a search are you doing? Also, you should be able to add filters, right? So then you get to this screen, and what this is over here, this is actually your results. Okay, so you're gonna get a list of results. What is that gonna look like? Okay, and then after you see your list of results, you're going to be able to this is going to be a recipe detail. Now, when I get to the recipe detail page, what else am I going to be able to do? I'm going to be able to save it to a specific folder I have set up. Or maybe I want to email it to my mom. Email to somebody. Okay, and then after I'm done doing one of those 2 tasks, I have to have a way to get back. So maybe at this point, what I want to do is I want to be able to return to my results. So those are 2 other tasks that I can do. I can either from the recipe detail, I can save it to a folder, or I can email the recipe to someone. And then maybe I want to really ugly looking. Maybe I will want to return to search results, right? Okay, and then once I've done that, so that's kind of how I think this needs to be diagrammed out. Or I may want to do a new search. So if that's the case, then I should be able to get from here to here. And I would be doing what I would want to do there is I would want to look for another recipe. So you might have to explain what these paths mean. I do new search. So getting over here, one of the things that you didn't accommodate for is once I'm logged in, I might be wanting to find a recipe. Another thing I might want to do is update my settings. Or another thing I might want to do is go to my saved recipes. And then if you click on a saved recipe, then you may actually want to, you see your list of saved recipes in different folders or whatever, and then by looking at one, it might bring you to the recipe detail. You wouldn't save it to a folder because it's already in a folder, so that would be grayed out. It would be saved in, or that message to either save it to a folder. If it's already saved there, then you wouldn't have the option to save it to a folder. Still email it. Right. So now I'm thinking the appropriate user scenario would be, okay, I'm a new user and I want to start looking for something that I have so many carrots. My garden needs bananas with carrots. You just have so many carrots. So I'm going to create an account. I don't have an account, so I get to the screen, I create an account, I, do these whatever things. Then I enter that I have carrots and maybe there's some other filters. I see what the recipes come up with, I find something interesting, and I save it to a folder. Or I email the recipe to my kids and say, hey, let's make carrot soup. Like, we've got tons of carrots. The next scenario would be like, oh, that carrot soup that I made last year, where I want to find it. So I already have an account. I go right to saved recipes and find that saved recipe. And then maybe my third user scenario would be going on and I've decided to become a vegetarian, so I want to go update my settings. What does that look like? So that's probably pulling up some of these screens where you control your settings would be kind of linking you to there. So if I update my settings, this area where I'm changing, this looks like it would be all one box. And it would be settings. Does this help you at all?
Yeah, no, that sounds
Okay, let's save it.
I'm glad to see that evolve like that.
Does that help? And if you think
Yes,
there's-
because mine started to do that on me. It started, because I kept thinking the user has to get back. The user has to get back.
Right. So if you start to think about some of the things that the user is going to do and travel through the app, it might help. You know, this is all settings control right here. And I would be accessing it when I create a new account, and I would also be accessing it when I want to go update my settings later on when I've decided I'm a vegetarian. You know,
Yeah,
or oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm gluten free now. I'm going to go
Yes.
update the settings so that I can, you know,
and that'd
Brittany
be,
has gotten the diagnosis that she needs to have a gluten free diet.
yeah, that's important.
Now she wants to use the app again. How is that gonna, what does she need to do? So that would dictate your user experience. Now, I don't know where you can put these things on a screen, but it seems like we always want to be able to get back to a search.
Right.
And we always want to get back to the settings. So maybe you don't need a hamburger menu like you're saying. Maybe those two icons just need to be present at all times. Now let's go take a look at your wireframes. And looking at your wireframes, I hope these guys can hear me. Looking at your wireframes, we can see that you know, you need to add a little bit of context. So be a little bit more specific. So Brittany is logging in for the first time and wants to find a recipe that would use up all of the carrots she has in her house. Okay, so we would expect, you know, the first landing screen, which might be featured recipes. And I agree with what Mindy says. I don't really know if you need that footer there. We do know that you always want to be able to get to search, and we do know that you always want to get to your settings once you've created an account,
Yeah.
right? So that very first screen, if you're a new user and you're looking for carrot recipes, I wouldn't expect to be able to see the search. It would be like, hey, welcome, Brittany. Thanks for downloading the app. Let's get started. And we would see some registration screens, and then we would see, you'd click on the search, and then you'd have a bunch of filters. You definitely want carrots, and it has to include carrots, and it has to make it in 30 minutes or less because you're in a hurry.
Okay.
What does that look like? So I think if you define your scenario more specifically and go refer back to your flow chart, like, well, wait, I can't, you know, I need to have search and settings always present, but not until the user is registered. Does that help you?
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then your next one, so be more specific with this and show us about that registration.
Okay.
And this is going to be the most complex scenario. Once you do the first one, and I would sketch it on paper first, just so you know, because you can get really bogged down using Photoshop and Illustrator.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I can, going into all of these details. And so it helps if I have a plan on paper beforehand. So if you go to your other one, what I was going to say is this first scenario, if you're specific like that, like making the person log in, they're updating their settings, then they search for a recipe, then they see a result, you're going to be able to reuse those in your other user scenarios. So you're going to have a lot of work to do the first one, but then when you get to the next one, you'll probably just be pulling some of those from what you did in the first one.
Right.
Because if you look at your project, I mean, what's your next scenario?
The auto screen. Keeping it on.
Oh, so that would be a setting.
Yeah.
So you're ready to cook. Let's say, hey, Brittany is ready to cook. She wants to find that carrot recipe. So maybe you go back in, you go to your saved recipes. So that's probably another icon that if you,
Yeah,
that
that's what I was thinking, like the save one, or the save recipes, the search and the
Settings. Right. So click on the search saved recipes. I look in the soups folder. I find the carrot soup, and then I see the recipe detail. And then I click on my settings, or maybe you decide that at the bottom of every recipe it says ready to cook. You can email it. Or you can hold your screen to be open. That would be nice to have that right there on that screen.
Yeah.
So some of those screens you've already made, you just reuse later on.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's really
Does that help you guys?
Oh, very much. Thanks for taking the
Okay.
time.
Oh, good,
I feel better because my flow chart got kind of flowy.
good, good, good. Okay. I think. Are you in a hurry, Jen? Are you at work?
You have some lingo. She does that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think she said she has to run to a meeting.
Oh, okay, okay. Zach is anxious to go. Laura, can you hang out for a few more minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, you ready, Zach? So we have Zach, we have Brian, we have Laura, and we have Matthew. Everybody's presenting?
Yes, we are.
Okay, it's a full day.
Sorry, this is Jenna. I'm getting ready to run out, but are we having another one? Because I definitely want to present again, but
Yes.
I have to run. Sorry.
I kind of planned on doing it Friday morning, but
Okay, awesome.
if that's not going to give, I could hold off in having the deadline be like Saturday at midnight just to give you guys more time.
And I'd love to meet
Would that
with
be?
you Friday.
Okay, then I'll plan. So then once, I don't want it to be Friday night at midnight because then if you get some feedback on Friday that you need to implement, you won't have time to implement it.
I'll be at NASA on Friday.
All right. Well, for people that need it, Jenna, that's what I'll plan on doing. I'll change the deadline so it's Saturday night at midnight.
Awesome.
And then you get feedback on Friday that you need to make any changes to. And I think that I talked to Eric yesterday and he needs a little bit of extra time as well. So
Cool. Thank you so much.
no problem.
See you guys Friday.
Bye, Jenna.
Thank you, Julia. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks, Julie.
Okay, see ya.
I'm at NASA on Friday, so.
I
NASA
know,
or
we heard.
Nassau?
What?
NASA or Nassau?
NASA?
All right, what's going on?
Where's the
I
volume?
couldn't tell though.
Are you really putting, why are you putting the volume on?
Because there's a video on it.
You'll be able to hear it through my computer.
Anyway, so. My app is called Launch Locator.
Orange.
The objective of this app is to make the objective of this app is to make the viewing of rocket launches more accessible to the general. What are you smiling at?
Comment about the poop situation.
Oh my, fish, what is it?
Nothing, it's my friend. All right,
What
so
did she say?
she said, do you think that she did it to herself?
Emily?
I don't think Emily is that kind of person.
Okay, come on, we gotta finish it, sorry.
You brought up.
No, sorry, go ahead. I'm listening, Zach. I have to update something real quick. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
My app does not involve poop in any way, shape, or form. The poop recording app. The objective of my app is to make the viewing of rocket launches more accessible to the general public, whether it be in person or via video. The target audience of this app will be people at least 15 years old who are either interested in space or want to see a rocket launch they've never gotten to. So I have a few apps for competition. First app is Launch Time. Launch Time was all available launches, including the live stream launch location of launch pad and information. That's a screenshot that really small, but one thing about this app is it's very bland. There is no color.
Is that a screenshot of the app?
Yeah,
Wow.
there is no color scheme whatsoever.
They just made science boring.
Yeah, they made science boring. Well, it's science is. Hey, but the fonts are nice and also they're not consistent. Purple, green.
But where did that come from?
iTunes.
Just need to
Oh,
exist those apps.
okay.
Screenshot of my iTunes.
Okay.
You should have something to compare it to. I would expect to see it and then see it that way.
The second one is one I use. Called Mission Clock. And these descriptions are from iTunes, by the way. Is that fine?
That's
So Mission Clock shows you a real-time countdown for upcoming missions. And out of the 3 app competitions, this is the one I actually use in person because I love it.
yeah. I don't think you need to use all of that text. I mean, just to show the features. Just show the description,
All right.
and then I want to know, in your opinion, what the pros and cons are.
Oh no, I have a slide for that down there.
Okay. Keep going.
So Mission Clock shows a real-time countdown. It has T and L minus. There's L minus is launch and T minus is time. I'll explain the difference. Polls, timer rating. This is my favorite one because it shows you a bunch of lists. But down here, it doesn't show you in this screenshot, but down here, there are mini countdowns. So a countdown to max Q, a countdown to liftoff, a countdown to the separation of the side rockets. This is one of my favorite apps that I use. And the third one that I'm going to do is called Space Launch Schedule. Also, better, but still very little color scheme. Space Launch Schedule allows you to filter by the launch sites, that you can add launch events to your calendar, view a map of the launch site, mission details, and the launch videos.
It's got a lot of features.
My app, to the disadvantage, Space Launch Schedule and Mission Clock do not give you a countdown on your widget screen or your notification bar. Space Launch Schedule and Launch Time do not give you notifications. Mission Clock and Launch Time do not give you a map of the launch pad for viewing. So if you're on in person, you want to find an optimal viewing area that isn't a ticketed area.
Mm-hmm.
Mission Clock does not give you a link to the live stream, and you really have to give you a viewing direction for the launch if you're in there. If like you happen to be in the area, like you get a notification, you can turn to the direction of the launch pad. None of the apps allow you to purchase tickets for viewing opportunities, which I think is a big disadvantage. Because what if you're in the area and you want to go see it? How do I purchase tickets? I honestly didn't know how to buy tickets for a rocket launch until a few years ago. If I would have known that when I was a lot younger, I would have probably gone to a lot more launches.
Hell yeah.
So this is where my app comes in. So I'll get to the look and feel after I download the app. I use the keynote.
Uh-huh.
So the background of my app is inspired by the limb of the Earth. You got the purple going into the black void of space. You see how I kind of replicate the atmosphere there?
Yeah.
So I have 5 screens on here. We have current launch, tracking, mission info, calendar, and tickets. Right here will give you a link to the live stream, and we have, say, the next launch is, I just gave an arbitrary 45 seconds. Gives you the name of the rocket, mission, the launch pad, and if it's go for launch or not. So you click the play button. The video automatically updates every time there's a new launch. It uses an APK called Launch Library, which is something I actually use to code in real life. And what it does, it's a JSON-based system. And it has a bunch of different parameters: launch time, launch speed. It actually has a go, no go. It has a bunch of different parameters for that. You can input that into your app. People have made apps, and 2 to 3 apps use this launch library APK. And so what it does, I'm trying to figure out how to make this simple because it's a very complex system that uses a lot of different, that uses pages upon pages of parameters. But what it does, it gives you almost every detail for a launch. It compiles everything, and then you can just input it into the JavaScript and JSON. So if I go down here to tracking, launch visibility in 45, this will change depending on your viewing location. Obviously, if you're near the launch pad, it'll tell you if it's 45 seconds, or if you're away from the launch pad, say you're in Disney World or something, it'll take a few more seconds for it to get above the horizon, but it'll still say, okay, so it'll be visible and launches in 20 seconds, it'll be visible for you in 30, point that direction, and then tilt your phone up, tilt up where that vertical bar right there, tilt up to where that big dot is, and then tilt your compass to where the center dot is, and it'll track you along because rockets don't just go straight up, they arc over. So that's why it's an arc instead of just a single dot. So you can continuously watch the launch. We have mission info. It gives you information about the mission directly from NASA's or JAXA's or ESA's website, whatever agency may be launching the mission that day. I'm not going to read all that because that's jargon. What?
No, it's interesting.
All right, go ahead.
That's
Keep
jargony.
going. Keep going. Buy launch tickets. Ooh, your button's going to the wrong place.
I didn't order the slides correctly.
Okay.
the launch schedule, which can center, this gives you the generic launch schedule. And you can tap these names to give you just a brief info about the launch, similar to what mission info was. Now, my favorite part is I had a lot of fun designing that.
Okay, so you're missing a few things, like all of your user scenarios. Where's that part?
Well, I'm not done with the presentation.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to jump in it. So, buy launch tickets. And there's the upcoming launch at Kennedy Space Center, where we can buy tickets in America to watch launches. And NASA has public viewing areas at the complex that I've been to probably about a dozen or so times. That allow, and I have a bunch of different tiers, and so when you click the buy tickets link, it'll bring you to NASA's website, as I'll show in the flow chart momentarily. So here's my flow chart. So from the main bar at the bottom, you have the current launch tracking, mission info, calendar, tickets. And also, I didn't do the flowy thing because you can obviously go back to either one, but that would be like 15 arrows.
No, yours is more of a, it has more of a flat, it's not like you have these long paths of tasks that you're doing. You do very specific things.
So current launch with the countdown and the live video that links from the launch library PDF. Yeah. Tracking, it's a GPS input via location services. If you allow the location services, it'll pop up whenever it asks for your GPS, and it'll locate where you are, and it'll use your compass, as I said. Mission info, to read more, that'll automatically generate. Calendar, this is just the launch library integration that I said. The tickets and the external links will be at KennedySpaceCenter.com. So if I go to KennedySpaceCenter.com, and I want to go see launch from my app. So go into tickets and choose what I want, and
Is that the pass you have?
Wow.
shut up.
Pricey.
Hey, Zach.
Shut up!
Zach.
I'm not that much of a nerd.
Okay, can you go back to your presentation? I want to see your user scenarios, and we got to keep this moving because there are other people that need to present.
I have not done my user scenarios yet, but
Okay.
I can just tell you, user scenarios is you're in Florida and you happen to be in Florida, and the thing is, and there's a company, Florida's Florida's Department of, what do you call the Kate? What do you call the attraction department or whatever, like like people who manage
Okay. Can I make some suggestions? I think you're kind of thinking about, like, you go to mission info, then you do this. I think that your different sections might interact with each other a little bit more. For example, let's just say that I'm looking at the calendar, and I see one of the missions in the calendar, I click on it, and I go to more details. So I may access mission details from.
That's what I said.
Well, I'm just saying, no, look at your flowchart for a second.
Oh, you want me to?
I'm just thinking you may access some of the information from different means. So then when I look at, so your user scenarios could be, they could be like somebody starts just looking at the calendar of upcoming missions, then gets intrigued by a specific mission, clicks on it, gets to more details, and then maybe maybe that mission detail page. So these are upcoming missions, right? Instead of mission info, this would be upcoming missions. This would be mission detail.
No, this is mission info. Is the is this? That's the mission info.
Right, but don't you think that it might be more of a list of upcoming missions, whereas a calendar?
That's this.
Yeah. Well, I think in the calendar, I would expect it to look more like a calendar. And why is this, is it mission info? It seems like at this level, at the highest level of mission, we should see several missions that are coming.
Well, that's just be current, that's just be current.
Right, but I'm thinking, I'm interested in upcoming missions in February because I'm gonna be in Florida. Do you know what I mean? I would think that mission info, upcoming missions, would look a little bit more like this, and calendar would be more of a calendar view where I could kind of look at a different month, and then it would be really cute if you had like, you know, a calendar. I see December, and there's icons, you know, on each one, and then when I click on one of them, then I go to mission detail, and I see a screen like what you have mocked up in mission info, and then at the bottom of that mission info, buy tickets now, which would take me over to tickets for that specific
All right.
thing. You're not actually having to build all of this, right? We're just making a mock-up of how it could
No,
work.
yeah, I did this in Photoshop.
Right, no, I know, but I think that like buying tickets, make it look like you can actually buy a ticket through your app, you know?
Well, I'm not affiliated now, so I can't do that.
No,
This is a hypothetical.
this is a
project.
hypothetical project. So
No, that's fine.
imagine that you pitch it and you say, hey,
Oh, you want me to add an e-commerce app page?
yeah. And think about it, like,
How many more mock-up screens do you need?
you don't have to mock up. If you would follow my instructions are like, go through the user scenarios. You don't really have to mock it up. You just do wireframes, and then you're just mocking up one scenario. So you could have mocked up like the law. I want to see that what the icon looks like in the
I haven't
iPhone.
done the wireframe yet. I kind of jumped up.
Do you know what I'm saying? The mock-ups only have to be a mock-up of one scenario. Instead of, you've mocked up every key screen, which is great, but you've done more than, I wanted to see one path through it. And I know that yours is a little bit different because you didn't think about your app being like task focused. You thought more of that, like you click on this, you click on this, you click on this, and then you do everything through NASA. You know what I mean? But the app could be, let's say that NASA's like, yeah, you have permission to do it. You can sell tickets through your app and you get a cut of it. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking about how it could do more.
There's a lot of
No, why don't you go through your user scenarios and come up with your user scenarios. I love your icons at the bottom. I think they're completely understandable. They look like very high-tech, well-designed. I would center the text underneath each one of them.
Yeah,
Like calendar's a little bit wonky there.
Mhm.
I love your NASA ticket thing. I think it looks really cool. Do you guys have any other comments?
I have 2 questions for you, actually.
Mhm.
You said the age at 15. Is there a reason, or is it arbitrary?
Arbitrary.
Okay, you might want to bump it up like to 16 or 18, depending on just, I mean, because they have to purchase tickets through it, so I don't
Good
know.
point, good point.
I was also wondering what your presumed base knowledge was for users of the app. Minimal, so maybe you might want to think about adding an FAQ kind of page, just in case, like in the jargon, there's like some terminology that beginners won't know, or something that has just like a frequently used terms or something for someone who has absolutely no knowledge but doesn't do it and wants to get into it.
All right.
Do you think that there should be some kind of a setting where you could have it text you when there's a launch or
That's
some?
what the notifications are.
And where are the notifications? Oh, you do have the let's see the notification screen.
Well, I don't have the screen that pops up on your phone. I have the bottom.
Well, maybe I want to change my preferences or something about how much, like only notify me about the launches that are in Florida, or you know what I mean?
Like as a potential user scenario.
Yeah.
And that could just be under like a setting tab.
I was really hoping-
Because you do have all
I
these
was really hoping
features
this would be my phone.
that separate, well, your features separated from the pack so well. You know, especially if you can tailor the launch locator to your location.
Do your user scenarios, and you already have the look and feel pretty much established, right? So it's just a matter of,
The wireframes in the scenario.
yeah, just do the wireframes of the 3 different scenarios. And then you may have to, you have all of the,
One scenario.
no, 3 different scenarios. You saw Mindy and you saw what Brittany was presenting. So there are 3 different scenarios. And then you take one of those scenarios and you formalize it like this. So you may have to mock up a couple of other screens, but you've designed this. I mean, it's all designed. It's just like different headings and different texts. So start with your scenarios, get that part done, because you don't want to turn this in as is and then give it a big 0 for that whole part of the project. You know what I mean? Okay. It's really, I know it feels overwhelming, but
It is overwhelming.
if you just start with the scenarios, I think it won't be so bad. All right, so
Wireframe scenarios and one ring.
Laura, I'm gonna go to you right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Share the screen. Okay, and then can you see my screen? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I changed my description a little bit, so I'm gonna read that real quick. 1 second. So I'm doing Harvest Hotline for Eckert's, and the purpose of it is to inform users of the fruits and vegetables that are in season at Eckert's. And the app will inform users on which crop is available and be picked, or that could be picked and bought in stores. The application will allow users to create accounts so they can receive notifications when their selected crops are in store or ready to be picked. And then lastly, the application will include contact information and events going on. And then these are some of the apps that I looked at. The first one was Sprouts Farm Market. It didn't really have that much. I don't know if you guys can see that. But what that's where I got the idea to do like a account so that people can create lists like it has on the right, and so they could get. But it doesn't have notifications, so that's one thing I would add to it. And then this was another one I looked at was the Mississippi Farmers Market, and I don't know, this one I wasn't like. Let's see, what was it? When you clicked on produce by season, which was the menu, they kind of just gave you this right here, and it was just like kind of looked like a newsletter or something, and I didn't really like that. So that's, I don't know, I didn't really care for this app. And then for their available produce, they kind of just listed it like this. And then I looked at Texas Farmers Market, and this one was just products they sold. It didn't really give any information about produce or anything, so they didn't really have a good example for me. And then this is the flow chart. And after looking or watching everyone else's, I think I need to work on it, because if I'm going to have an account, or if they're going to create an account, I think I have to add that so that they can view it and see what they add and they can edit stuff. But this is what I have so far for the flow chart. And I still have to do my wireframes and user scenarios, but I got kind of a design. Let me see, how do you do? This might not be enough for like the welcome page, but this is the first screen, and you can either sign in and register. And then I decided if you don't want to do either of those, I just want to see which crop or whatever you wanted to find, you could just go to the homepage instead of having to create an account, because a lot of other apps I looked at, you have to make an account. And so I just wanted to make it so it could just be easy and you could just search for what you're looking for. And then this is, I guess, the homepage, and it would have the available produce. Click on this link right here, pick your own crops, contact, and then seasonal events. And then this menu bar right here, I was going to make where you could have the option, if you didn't before, to create a username or go to your account and set up your notifications and everything. And then that's all I have so far.
Well, why couldn't this be the landing page? Like, as soon as I open the app, why can't I just come right here?
Oh, you mean instead of having this one right here with like the sign in and register?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking that. I didn't know. I was kind of just throwing it around, but yeah, that makes sense.
Like, so if you open the app and you go right to that page that you have up right now, the crops and what happened here? Not a second. You're not sharing your screen anymore?
Oh, I thought I was.
Okay, never mind. All right. Yeah, and then you could put a button right on this page about signing in.
Yeah, like in the upper left-hand corner, I guess, or right-hand corner.
Or below the picture or something like that. You know, don't miss out on all of the fun activities at Eckert's. Register or sign in. Register. Something
Okay.
like that.
Can you use that Eckert's logo as that button?
Yeah, it feels like
Since it's a fictitious scenario, we're not worried about rights or anything. Why can't we use Eckert's brand?
right. This it feels like it needs a little bit more design.
Mm-hmm.
The first of all, that menu in the top left corner,
Mm-hmm.
it feels kind of squished up there, and you're wasting all of that vertical space because you have it up there, but then the title's below it. So it's like you're wasting vertical space.
Mm-hmm.
I would make your Eckert branding fit to the right of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
You know what I mean? And then maybe instead of Eckert's Harvest Hotline, maybe just the logo and then Harvest Hotline or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know if you need the tagline on every single screen
Mm-hmm.
like that. And then if you look at some of the other apps that you showed, like look at your user scenarios. I mean your screenshots that you took.
Mm-hmm.
What looks different about those? They feel like they have a little bit more depth to them.
Yeah.
You know, like perhaps maybe, and then let's see the other one. They just feel, a little bit richer.
Right.
The icons at the bottom, I'm looking at the first screen of Healthy Living, and those 4 icons, they feel like icons. They're kind of like on black or greenish backgrounds, and they have a little bit of a drop shadow, and they're like really like they're like icons right on top.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and look at what you're designing so far.
Oops. There we go. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, and maybe could you make them feel more like buttons? Perhaps the Eckert's wording, crop updates and see welcome to Eckert's or something. Could you integrate that text inside of that picture of that family having fun at Eckert's?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, so I'll have to add that in.
So make it feel, make those things below feel more like buttons and feel more designed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Otherwise, it just feels a little bit generic right now. Capture the farm apple Eckert spirit with your design.
Okay.
It's fun and it's family focused.
Yeah, use their Wild West font. They have like
I don't know what their typeface is.
They have a whole brand.
Yeah, I would steal the look and feel from. I'm sure their website is really cute. I would steal some of their colors and typeface ideas from what they already have going on their site.
Yeah, you can't really see it, but the background, it's like it's modern, you can't really see it. And I got that off their website. And then I wasn't sure what typeface they use, but I'll try to find that out from the graphic designer because I couldn't find it.
I don't think you need that red border around everything.
Okay. Check that out. And then I guess for when you said to put the Harvest Hotline and like integrate it into the picture, so should I make the picture larger and then kind of take off this like little header right here, like the yellow part and everything, and just make this larger?
That's what I'm thinking. That picture may be tricky because there's so much going on in the picture. You don't have a lot of like ground area or sky area to put the text on top of.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like in the example, in some of the other examples, you know, it's easy to integrate text in an image if you have a nice open space.
Right.
So that may not be the best picture, but yeah, I think there should be sort of a landing picture with what the app is about right there, and then the 4 things below, make them more clearly buttons that
Okay.
take us to other sections of the app.
Mm-hmm.
But I would get your user scenarios done first before thinking, because you may discover in that process that you need to integrate something else. So that's why I want you to go through the user scenario process before you spend too much time on this.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
But it's coming
All
along.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's take a look at Brian and Matthew. We've got 2 more. I'm going to click over to Mindy. Are you going to present from up there?
For me, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So just click on Mindy's, the thing that says you up there.
Okay.
Hey, Matt, did you know what famous under this website?
Where, what, when?
On the Webster INTM site. Is your
Yeah.
picture on there?
Yeah,
That's
I found
funny.
that out when I was looking through the PowerPoints or whatever, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the back of our heads.
Oh my lord.
That's
I probably
hilarious.
look ugly.
It's from like 4 years ago, so we look like way different. Both you and me have like way shorter
Oh
hair.
god.
Yeah, it's weird.
Flashback. What we looked like before college.
And they sound like
Pretty much, Julie,
Oh,
because
yes,
it
there's
is
so much to
overwhelming.
learn. Oh, we're so young and
We're
innocent.
so young and innocent. Look at all that sleep. Look at people how much sleep they've had.
Try my best to get it done.
Julia, also,
Yeah,
do you have time after a class? Because I have to meet with you about like 3 different classes.
sure.
Okay.
Just click on entire screen and hit share. All right.
Okay. Okay, I am doing an application for our student newspaper, The Journal, because we do not have one and we use a WordPress plugin. However, our other student publication does have an in-house production of their own digital. So, purpose of this project is to utilize some of what they do in similar fashion and create a student-produced app for our school data. I need to work on my look and feel a little bit. I started this project out with kind of a real life bent to it, and Julie told me to unplug from what I'm doing in an independent study class about this app, and I was describing everything based on what I'm building now. So since we're in a fictitious scenario, I scrapped my last look and feel. That is the look and the feel of the app there. The target is relatively simple. It's us, our teachers, and our staff. You can download it and add it in to your class. Also, my first competitive analysis stuck mainly to student-produced newspaper apps, which there aren't many. Because what happens is students get a little bit of input into what they create, and then their college puts them into one of a few big developers nationwide who can get apps. What we see in many cases, almost every student data app out there that's using a third party, the students get to work on it a little bit, then the app stick with it. And what happens is a ton of functionality gets lost. I mean, you literally get stuck on these third-party apps with nothing but a scroll of text and no way to get out. So that was one part of my app that I wanted to solve. This will do it for the college news app. competitive analysis. At Quick Friday, Julie told me to start researching what big news apps did I like to see and things like that, and what features they bring that do what I'm looking for my app to do. There are a couple of nationals and actually an international version of the Guardian. Really easy to experience, so that'll be my final competitive analysis. But the pros and cons of what these developers do with third-party apps are pretty clear. Here's my flow chart. I began thinking very, very intently about, if we go back to this last slide, this kind of inspires my flow chart, because you literally, in this app from New York University, you're stuck here. You got nowhere to go with, no instructions after you pick the story. Okay, so that got me thinking about how's the user going to get back. Okay, this is my main, which has all sections of the paper listed. These are the sections. Okay, all that's coming out of the sections are the stories themselves. So the stories can range between one or many, depending on what's going on in that issue this week. And users can get out of the story and go back to the section or back to the main at any time they want, which is a feature of even larger brand news apps that isn't very clear and isn't very easy to do. Also, the viewer can go to the video section immediately if there is a relevant video to the news story. They can also, once they get to this video area, go back to any section that they want. So they can move quickly. The idea is to get out of the story that you're reading. And that's good because most folks read a news story about 3 to 5 seconds before they decide if they're going to stay and read it. So if you're trapped on something that you can only scroll and not get out, you're going to close my app. And I'd rather have you go back and look for another story to read quickly. But I hope I got a good start on devising a flow chart of that shit.
Okay.
And this is my first user scenario. And we are moving from the section page on the left. Nameplate is the name of the actual paper itself. The hashtag bars at the bottom are revenue space. That is for ads. The user clicks on news, goes to the news section, picks the story they want to read, and goes to the story. To get out of the story, and then in the top left. And also here is a tease copy that goes back to the section with another story. So this flow is to just get into the actual, so it's one scenario. I plan on the other 2 scenarios, wireframe to go to video and then back to a section from the video page. And then also to go to a story and scroll it, because otherwise I don't have a user scenario to describe this scroll bar. So you'll have to be able to get some video to see what that text scroll is. And these are, this is a render of the main page. That's the nameplate. These are your sections right here. I don't like the way the center is working on that, but that is the sections of the actual paper in real life. And that'll be on a render. Once again, the hash bars are for ad space. And again, this is a render of the story page. What we do is plus that view there so you can see it. And then so the renderings are coming along very well. Here's a good example of what the teaser will do. So you find out why the team still struggles to gain players. Just click through that, and that'll bring you back to the section, which in the case of this section is the sports section. Video goes to video page. Share goes to an external share. I would like the share to behave just like you would on your normal phone when you share it anywhere else.
Okay, can you go back to your user scenario?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sorry, go back to your flow chart. I think you've made it overly complex.
Right,
Because
I know I put more in, but like I described earlier, I kept thinking that.
right.
Because that's what bumps people out of, that's what bumps me out of any news app on that. I can't get out.
Right.
I wanted to describe that.
Right. Yeah. So what you could do, here's how I would simplify it. I'm going to, you want to stop sharing right now?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're on your home page.
Mhm.
Can you see what I'm doing here? Oh,
I can
good.
see it.
Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit better. All right, this is your landing page.
Mhm.
What the user may do, the user may actually section landing page.
Right, that's all. Here's our screen.
So we can assume this might be arts, multimedia, blah, 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 all of the different sections, right? So I'm on the news page or the art, you know.
Mhm.
Then once I go to a section landing page, I may at that point go read a story detail. So this is a story page.
Right. And they're on that part.
And then once I am at a story page, then I may do a couple of other things where I may share it, share story,
Mhm.
which would be email or social media or whatever. And what I also may do is I may watch a video if applicable. Watch video. I don't know if that's part of the story or something else. So to get back each of these sections, this will tell you what section, you'll have a link back to the section from the story itself.
Right.
So that's how I'll always get back to the section. And then will always need to be a home icon on every single screen to get back to the home page. And that's how I'm going to navigate around. The other thing is, this is a way of browsing. What if I want to search for a specific story? So this would be, from the home page, I think I should be able to search for a story. Right?
Mhm.
And then once I find that story, I'm going to be getting some results that are related. Like if I search for Quidditch,
Mhm.
then maybe there have been multiple stories about Quidditch. So these are search results, which would take me to a story. So my path here would look like here to here, here to here, and then I get my search results and I would get to a story this way. I could also go this way. I'm just using this brush tool, whoops,
Mhm.
because it's easy. So then I could get to, so those are two ways, and I didn't see any kind of a search feature on your thing. And also, I would assume one of the advantages of having an app is to get push notifications. So I want to be notified anytime there's a story about Quidditch, or I want to be notified anytime there's a news story. So I think that I'm probably going to need to have some kind of a settings area.
Mhm.
So I would say from the home page, I should be able to go, whoops, I meant to duplicate that. I should be able to go into settings.
Mhm.
And what do those, and in the settings, now in your flowchart too, you may need to add some notes, you know?
I left space for those.
Yeah, so
on the page itself, because I knew this was a block and it was gonna have to.
So in these settings, users should be able to opt into push notifications and change their filters, preferences regarding when they want to be notified.
How would I describe this diagram, for the flowchart diagram, the feature that I want people to be able to get out of it?
Like what? Maybe from each story.
Because that's a con of many other apps.
Right.
It's a good step.
Right. Well, you may make some notes right here. Each screen, you know, this is helping you. Remember, this is helping you with your design. So on every screen, users should be able to access, to get back.
Okay, so you put it on the description.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
add, you know, and this whole purpose of a flow chart is to help you when you're designing and when you're building, you know, when,
Because I want to emphasize the
right.
easy, the scannability of the story.
And
It's got to be easily scannable and not stuck in tons of.
each story, you could go to a related story, right?
Yeah, you can.
So let's just imagine this is related story. Right? So I'm in a story, I may be able to go to a related story. And then every time I see a story, I should know what section it is. So I'm just going to make a note right here that says on every story page, the user should be able to see what section the story is in and navigate.
Right. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
So on every screen, users should be able to get to home, where we see all of the different sections,
When we get to home, we should get
search.
back to the section in search.
and settings.
Okay.
Now, that's going to change your design a little bit, but this gives you a rich set of user scenarios.
Yeah, that's okay if it changes the design. It's easy to mess with the interface and everything.
Right, and it's not major changes. We just need to make sure. So for example, I want to search for the story about Taos, for example. How do I do that? I go to home, I'm at the home page, I click on the search button, I put in my search, I get to the story, then
I like that as the user scenario over.
well, that you have to do 3 user scenarios. So that could just be one of them. Or maybe I am wanting to set my notifications. So I'm really interested in this whole poop story. And I want to be notified if there's any new stories that come out on that.
Okay.
So I want to change my filters so that notify me if there's any story that has the title, in the title, poop, defecate,
None of the
etc.
None of the developers that take over the college apps do that stuff, like good news apps. Remember how you told me to branch out
Right.
and get out of my head on that?
You're just mocking it up for possible
Exactly.
in
So bigger publications do that.
right, but once you once
Yes, it's all
once you once you
You
set
come
this
full
app up,
circle.
isn't there an option to add a search and filters in the Experience Manager? Search your content and well, this is the ideal version.
I think that whole aspect of this.
Right, but this is the idealized version. What you actually do for your independent study is a separate deal. Right? Okay, the only other thing, so I can save this if you want. You want me to send this to you?
Oh, it'd be great.
Okay.
I sketched it all out.
Okay.
But yeah, you want to, I love it. Thank you so much.
Can you pull up your,
Mhm.
I think it was the one that just had like the 2 on the PDF?
Here, I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh yeah, just renderings.
Yeah. Can you scroll down to the bottom one? So, this looked kind of like how you based it on the real stuff, right?
Yes, it's following as much of the style guide as the paper is.
Right. And so since this is an idealized version, I'm wondering if you can't like squish the left-hand column to be a little smaller and the actual article
Yes.
to be bigger.
I will be.
Okay.
That's actually come up in my independent study because I originally made 2 templates. And this on the right was teaser copy to get you to the next page, but we did away with that, made 1 template with all of this pushed
Okay.
over here.
Can you share your screen
You
real
talk about
quick?
like third splitting, like you do like the 1 and then the 2/3. Like,
Yeah, 'cause I just
Good
think that
catch,
needs to
good
be-
catch though, Minnie, because that came up in real user
I like that.
experience talk.
One other thing, Brian,
Yes.
your presentation,
Mhm.
are you sharing your screen? I just want this to get recorded. So share your screen real quick. Go back to Google Hangouts. Share your screen. Entire screen. And one more thing, your presentation looks really beautiful. However, I don't, go back to the other document that you had. Why are you showing the final app on your first screen?
That's the plugin that we use now.
Oh, see, that's a little bit confusing. And then the fact that you're
Can I
giving,
identify that better? I mean, I can get rid of it. I
talk
can
about it
easily
later.
get rid
This
of
is like your opening thing.
Okay.
And the fact that the ampersand has an app, completely irrelevant for this project.
it.
Show us a good screenshot of the paper and
Okay.
maybe a screenshot of the website and then maybe a screenshot.
I've got plenty of them.
And then that, if that's what we see now,
Uh-huh.
this is not an app, it's just the mobile version. This is just the mobile version of the paper.
Yeah, all I'm doing with these images is just describing those 2 paragraphs.
Give them a caption, put some little text underneath so we understand what it is.
Okay.
But don't bring the ampersand into it. It's relevant to you as for your independent study, but not relevant to this project.
I've gone farther and disconnected from that
Yes.
since Friday, but this should totally separate.
Yeah, and
from
then
it
go to your
by
next
getting rid of this part.
screen. Talk about the Webster Journal. It's a paper, we've got a website, we've got a mobile, we've got a responsive website, but we don't have an app.
Okay.
Why do we want an app? Well, we want people to stay in touch with us and read our content and stay engaged, and this is gonna help, alums. Maybe you can find some statistic about alums who read their college newspaper tend to give more money to the university. And an app is another way to connect and bug them and remind them to read the content. I'm making up that statistic, by the way. I don't know that for sure.
I know.
Again,
But you
here,
know a lot, right?
Julia, my credible source.
yes,
says.
yes. Yeah,
But she's not, no teacher of mine is a source.
I'm especially about the poo story.
No
That
teacher
did
of
not
mine
come
is a
from me.
source with anything.
Oh God, now I'm on YouTube talking about the poo incident. So this is your final app rendering, right? Don't be showing that up front.
Okay,
Keep us in suspense.
okay.
Remember, this is all building. We're seeing flowcharts, we're seeing user scenarios, and then voila, this is what it looks like. Okay?
Okay.
All right, we got to get Matthew up here.
All right.
It is 11, it's 10:47.
This is like those earlier classes.
What do you mean? I mean, we're scheduled to be here till 11:50, but we've been meeting twice a week, so.
Earlier on in the semester, we were going on.
Do you guys feel like this is pretty standard for a 3-credit class in terms of the amount of work?
Yeah.
You don't feel like you got out of it easy because of
Oh,
our
no.
schedule?
I think it's too much work. So it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for people like us, though, who don't know, like, are used to this. Like, the more, like, I was working with Illustrator, though, I was flying through it a lot faster on certain things.
Well,
Like, I
that's-
just needed more practice.
All right, so go ahead and share this. Oh, you already are screen sharing.
Can you lock onto yours though, to Julia? Not that I don't love looking at your
I
face,
don't have
Julia.
one. Do you want me to click something?
Yeah, just click the box. Yeah, that one. Just click that.
Okay.
There you go. Who is calling me? I don't understand.
Bye. Okay, so I did NOAA and it's Nautical Observation Apparatus Helper, and that's like the stupid little name I picked about it. But it's an application designed to give you frequently updated information relating to river and lake levels, environment and weather conditions that also have effect on water. The objective hopefully is to get more people on the water without fear. I feel like there's this big stigma that you need all this experience to like even like go near a river, or like you go with people when there's people already that go fishing by themselves, that go boating by themselves, and then this can also get them in touch with other people, hopefully, who like water activities. And 200 people a year die from flooding, and the damage just go up in the upwards of 50 billion. I needed to cite that. I'm sorry, I just noticed that I needed to cite that because that'll make that look really good. So yeah, it's actually a big thing. And the target audience is anyone basically. People who suffer from flooding, people who enjoy fishing and boating, river barge workers who need a backup system if their main thing goes down, their main navigation, and they just happen to have their phone online still with a little bit of battery left. That always will help. That's a good thing. The first app that I found was called Boating USA, and it gives you chart mapping, sonar, and GPS plotting, but it's $10 per year. And I noticed right away when looking at this app that there's a lot of cluttered information. And I don't know, I couldn't even tell if there's like a layers option in this thing, maybe that little blue circle that I see over here, but I just feel like this is way too much information, and for what I'm going for, it could definitely be simpled down, very much so, and just give you the information that you're looking for, not a lot of stuff that's distracting.
You're right, because some of those charts are intimidating themselves.
Yes,
Because the voter's not really gonna need all of that,
yes,
depending on where they go.
yes. This isn't like Navy level type information that you need. This is basic, like, okay, is it safe to go on to the Marinette today? Is it the water level's too high and the water's rushing too fast? Like, will like my boat be like going down the river faster than I can have the fish? Like, you know. The next app I looked at was Rivercast. This one gives you river level gauges, current water conditions, and flooding notifications. I noticed with this one that it relied a lot on buoys. And it didn't like give you like connection points. It literally was just like, okay, here's a buoy on this river, here's a buoy on this, like this is what it's telling you. So you can just look at buoys. And I didn't like that nothing was connected. And like the color scheme is okay, but I felt like it could add a little more depth if there was color filling in.
Yeah, buoy readings are for locals only.
Yes.
You know, right, the casual person coming up isn't gonna get it.
Yeah, because like, what does that mean? Like, well, if this one was red because it's down, just because like the buoy is like misfunctioning, like what would that mean for the rest of the lake? Like that, just like that throws people off. They would think like, oh, something's going on over here, so like they're all about to go, and like they wouldn't want to go there, and then that would ruin like if people are using the app, like people wouldn't go there for the day, and that could ruin revenue or just the costs. And then the last app I found was River Flows. It gives you GPS location, boat put in location, so that's very handy if you kind of get lost where you're at. I really like that idea too. So it gives you it marks your location over here and saves it, so that if you ever need to find your way back, you can do that. So then my flow chart basically looks like this. I wanted it to be between two different options. Basically, right when you log in, you get either the option to choose to go right to the map or the link up to weather.com and all the amenities that it has. So I really like the idea that this could be collaborated with like the Weather Channel and bring in a lot of other useful things like live feeds, fan favorite contests, get people involved with the app, like make them feel like, oh, I'm gonna go to like the prettiest place and send out the prettiest picture, like you wish you could be here, and then get other people to go there. So it's almost like not a competition, but
I would use NOAAoverweather.com just because of the speed.
yeah,
If you're offering me less, but I would want to know that if I can get to the wind direction faster than weather.com.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, keep going.
Yes. So my wireframes, here's the first one. This is the login screen. It's pretty simple. You just register with either weather.com or your email, and then you would log in. I needed to put a red, that was the one thing I forgot to do, put like a red like to go where to go next. But this is basically, you click the login. Here's the first page. It puts you directly on your current location, and it uses a satellite map to tell you where you're at. And then what I wanted to show with this one, that this is the layers option. So you would click on the hamburger menu, and then this up here where it shows like your current location with the latitude and longitude would change and flip, and it would be options that you could choose. And I showed with this one the wind direction. You could tell that like the arrows popped up over the previous screen to show you that like this is a wind direction option. And then you can also have different things clicked at the same time. So you can have the wind and then the speed also. So then the next one I did was, let's see here. I did for an information request update. So this is also an option with the app that you're in the current location of where you're at. If there's something that you see on the app that doesn't match up to like what you're seeing in the live, like maybe the information was updated last week when you were there now, and this is completely different. The weather's different, and you want them to know that what they're saying is actually false and not updated, so that you can go in here. You hold down on the compass. I needed to put that in too. I'm so sorry. And then this would pop up. What seems to be the problem, you input your information, name, email, submit. And then you would get the receipt saying that all that went through. And then this would hopefully update, get sent to them, and then they would update their information so people would know what's going on. If like a river's flooded and they don't actually know that the river's flooded, that could impact other people. So that'd be very important. And then my rendering, I only did one. I need to do more. That game's to Saturday. Love you. But basically, what I wanted to go for is I wanted for the river levels layer, I wanted it to show a color scheme, basic color scheme of what's a good area, what's a bad area, what could potentially go good or bad. So the red, like the stoplight colors I used basically. And also it knew that I was in an area of bad. So up here, this would change to you're currently in an area that has dangerous water conditions. So it would let you know that you really need to watch what you're doing. And it would constantly show you where you're at. It would constantly be updating. It doesn't need to like have like a little circle button and you click refresh all the time. Like there's some apps like that. That's stupid. Like it should be like in the live constantly. So.
Okay, can you go back to your flowchart?
Yes.
I don't understand why I would go to your app just to go to navigate to weather.com. And I think that it's great to connect to it. It's like somehow connected to it, but I think it would be more within context. So for example, let's say my current location, it's giving me all this information like swell water, weather, see more at weather.com. You know what I mean? So it would be context. It would be based on the context of when we would, so this diagram is like, do I either want to use NOAA side or do I want to use weather.com?
Right.
So all of this stuff about photos and videos and stuff, it's kind of nice, but I mean, seems way outside the scope of what you're trying to do. I mean, what you've taken on is a big task. I mean, what you're trying to do with this app is a big, big, big task. I would just kill all of that stuff. Show me that I can go to weather.com based on other things. You know what I mean? So I think
it's misleading. Because like I did it for the social media aspect, but I see where you're coming from now because it makes it look like I don't like I shouldn't even have to have NOAA because like it's showing that like you should rather go to weather.com. And I want people to come to NOAA my app, and I should just get rid of this and focus on what I'm offering.
And
so
then,
that flow chart sells them short.
Yeah, I think it's just completely overwhelming, and I don't really think it represents what the experience of NOAA is going to be like. So I think this needs significant modification.
Okay.
So I go to NOAA, and what might does it say, do you want us to use your current location or put in a location?
You use your current location.
Well, what if I want to check a location and so there feels like when we get there, I go to NOAA and it'd be like, put in your location or say, do my current location, right?
Okay.
So that seems like where I would start with it. Then once I get to a particular, it finds me, it finds the location that I'm talking about. What do you want to see? The 4 options: the swell, the water, the weather, or the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 4 things that I should be able to see. Now, what if I want to learn more. Maybe I can go to weather.com or something like that based on that location. But maybe I want to go back and change my location. So your location should always be, seems like it would need to be present at all times. Like
Yes.
the option to alter my location. What else could you do besides getting live feed on these different things based on your location? I'm just trying to think of what your user scenarios might be.
You mean like pictures and like stuff like that?
No, like, so I'm, do you know what I'm saying? Once,
If I
what,
would use it,
yeah, what else would I might do with NOAA?
I want to know, okay, I'm on wind,
Yes.
right? I see direction and speed. Okay, well, that relates to swell.
Yes.
Okay, so do I have to back out and go check the swell, or can I check the swell also from the wind?
That's like,
Is
you can
that
check
like
it
the
also,
layers?
that's like with like this. Like this would pop up and you can do multiple at the
Okay.
same time and they would
You've
overlap.
answered it.
They would overlap.
Okay,
I feel like
This is all about filters
Right.
on one map, and like that's like I needed to swipe on that weather.com. This, me and my experience is all about having multiple, like everything, the apps that I showed that I compared to, they all specialize in one thing. Nothing ever like brings in a bunch of information that you're all looking for at one time, and that's what I needed to show.
right. So then what, I think that filtering option, I think I would put that information at the bottom of the screen as opposed to the top of the screen. And also wireframes, they're diagrammatic. You shouldn't even be worried about these, they should be boxes and diagrams. There should be no pictures in your
So I'll
wireframe.
get you simplified. Okay.
Yeah, I would take that location information and your filtering information and bring it to the bottom of the screen and then keep your branding at the top.
I'll
This
get
is
you.
NOAA.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
and then also we need to be, I'm not sure what these buttons do in the black down here. What purpose do they serve?
Those are the basic phone buttons, like the return, home, and like your it's the basic like every universal phone. You know, like this is like your tabs. This is to go home. This is to go back. You never seen that?
I don't think you need it. I think you just need one button that allows me
No,
to
that's,
change.
No, it's in the phone. It's in every
that's
phone.
part of the Android
You
UI.
can't,
Oh,
like, you
okay,
can't
I
get,
don't-
like rid of it.
Oh,
It's
okay,
like-
okay. So then, what are your two buttons above it?
This is the hamburger layers.
Why do we need a hamburger?
This is to bring up the layers option.
Those should be connected to one another. Like, why are they in two completely different locations?
Oh, there you go.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
Okay, so that's why that should be on the bottom then. Or then like this like pop up and like blur it out to the side.
Exactly,
I get
exactly.
you.
So
Okay.
if I'm seeing that expanded, then I shouldn't see the icon for it anymore,
And
right?
then maybe I can tap this in and it can suck back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
then
get you.
is that
Okay.
circle icon, does that mean where I'm gonna change my location?
This is, yes, this is like the hold down until this pops up to like do an information request, change request, and then tapping this once changes it to like north, west, south.
So that should be like a compass.
Yes, it is a compass. It's like hard to see. Let me see.
Well, then how do I get back to change my location if I wanna change my location?
You would, I need to specify that. I think it would be something with a compass. I'd have to
Well,
specify
I
that.
think, like, you know, when you go to Google Maps and they have a zoom and then you can go in different directions,
Yes,
I would steal that so that we could zoom and go in different directions because people understand that's how I navigate a map.
Mhm.
But then you need some kind of a button, maybe next to your hamburger menu that looks like a locator. You click on that, change your location. You can always get back and change your
So if
location.
you're over here and you're not at your current location, you can tap
Or,
this.
you know what, maybe I'm just curious about I'm thinking about going out to Lake Carlisle, but I want to know what the conditions are like there. So I click on the location thing, and then I can put in an address or a zip code and then change it. So that location changing icon, whatever you use to change a location, remember at the beginning, you're going to say, do you want to know where you are right now, or do you want to put in a location? I would introduce that early on. Like, here's NOAA. There's your location.
Mhm.
Find my current location or put in a location.
Yes.
And then we see that icon right it up front. And then when we see it later on in your app, we understand what it means. That's your location button. Plus those pins and location things, we see them everywhere. You know, we're used to knowing what that means. The tricky thing is figuring out what your three different user scenarios are. and you need to explain in like a little bit of a written paragraph, like what exactly, here's the scenario. Julie Griffey wants to go sailing at Lake Carlisle, but does not know what the wind conditions are. Okay, I'm at the Merrimack, I've driven to the Merrimack River, but not sure where to put my canoe in. So think about 3 different user scenarios and explain exactly what they are. Providing feedback about reports, like that seems kind of like a random task. I don't know if I'm going to go out sailing, I'm not a big enough nerd to be like, I'm gonna reply, this seems a little bit less windy than, you know what I mean? I don't see people using that. What I do see people using more is like, hey, I wanna check in here because I wanna tell people, hey, she was out sailing on Lake Carlisle, what a great time she's having. And then maybe snap a picture and share on Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems something more.
That was the social media aspect I needed to shoot for, instead of like being like, oh, weather.com is the only option to like have all of that.
Or
Right.
see more details on weather.com. Maybe that's a user scenario. Like I want to see what the forecast is going to be. So I'm at Lake Carlisle, but what's the forecast going to be? What's the wind conditions and what's it projected to look like in the next 5 hours? That would take me into weather.com. So think about your user scenarios and tell us exactly what you're taking us, you know, what steps the user needs to take and revisit that. I think you've got a good start, but I think just keep it diagrammatic at this point. I like your ideas of the reds and the greens, and you know you have some nice ideas, and I think your final rendering doesn't look bad at all. But I think you need to work on your icon design and about where things are going to be, and
the
then
functionality more.
Yeah, and then I would look a little bit more. First of all, your filters, the text is really, really small, and if it's going to pop up and overlap, why are you making it so small? And that serif typeface is serif typeface is very difficult to read on a small device because those serifs start to look really blurry. So I want you to take a look at other apps.
Comic Sans was invented.
Well, so I want you to take a look at other apps and see how they present their filters. You know, you can, since they're going to pop out, have them overlay on top of the map and then push them back in. You know what I mean? You can make them bigger as opposed to squeezing them up and making them really, really small.
Yeah.
So I think I would.
You're talking about like this could be like this big.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
you.
but it's going to come from that icon down below.
Yes.
So when you're showing those filters, that disappears. Like we should see, oh, here's my location. The user decides wants to look at wind speed. Click, open, wind speed, back, this view.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's what I should be seeing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So simplify your flow chart. Think about your user scenarios and give us the option to either put in a location. It seems crazy to me that I can like put in error reports through the app, but I can't see what water conditions look like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how most people would use it.
This is my thinking process. It's so weird. I love these classes because we talk about things like I wouldn't be thinking about, and all these aspects that go into the planning. I really like it. I've learned a lot from this class. I really appreciate it.
Really? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I want these projects to be I want you to feel good about them.
I haven't done anything close to this in any of my other classes.
Really?
I had Chris's class 2 years ago. Information architecture, and I didn't even get into as much detail.
Oh, you already took information architecture. Potential student for that. Okay. So I'm done with you.
Right. No,
all right.
It is sad. I don't have any more classes with you. I don't think. Just the 3300 and the business or professional
development class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Laura go since we're done. Laura, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So Friday morning, I'll have a 9 o'clock call. You're welcome to be on it or not, and I'll let everybody know they can turn everything in by Saturday night at midnight. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Toodaloo.